It's the most essential thing we do, thousands of times a day. And yet, we almost never think about it breathing. But what if we had to? Today, let's take a really deep dive into the very air that keeps us all alive.
So let's just start with a question that might sound a little weird at first, but it's fundamental. Could you, just going about your normal day, actually run out of oxygen?
I mean, it's kind of a traumatic thought, isn't it? But for most of us, in most situations, the answer is, thankfully, very, very reassuring. See? The air all around us has this incredibly steady and reliable concentration of oxygen, 21%. And it turns out that's pretty much the perfect amount for our bodies to work at their absolute best. So why don't we have to worry? Well, it really comes down to two things. First, the Earth's atmosphere is just immense, and it's constantly replenishing its oxygen. And second, our own lungs, when they're healthy, are these unbelievably efficient little machines, designed to pull out exactly what we need from every single breath. So for the vast majority of us, whether you're walking the dog, working at your desk, or sleeping at home, the answer to that big question is a clear and simple no. You're just not going to run out of oxygen. But of course, that comforting no isn't the whole story. There are always exceptions, and understanding these situations is, well, it's critically important. We're talking about when the air itself gets thin, or when our bodies simply can't use it the way they're supposed to. So this dangerous lack of oxygen, it's called hypoxia, and it can happen in two main ways. On one side, you've got environmental dangers. Think being at high altitudes where the air is literally thinner, or being in a confined, unventilated space. And of course, fires, which just consume massive amounts of oxygen. Then, on the other side, the problem can be medical. Conditions like COPD and pneumonia can damage the lungs so they can't absorb oxygen properly, while some heart problems can stop that oxygen from getting around your body. And your body will try to tell you something's wrong. You might feel short of breath, notice a racing heart, feel confused or dizzy. That bluish tint to your skin or lips, that's called cyanosis, is a really late and very serious sign. It's so important to recognize these aren't just minor things. They signal a real medical emergency. So, what happens if your body just can't get enough oxygen from the air? What's the solution? Well, this is where our whole perspective has to shift. We have to stop thinking of oxygen as just a gas and start thinking of it as a medicine.
This quote really just nails it. Oxygen is a powerful medication that requires the same respect and precision as any prescription drug. That is the core idea right there. It's not just more air. It's a specific, targeted medical treatment.
So what is supplemental oxygen therapy? It's basically a medical treatment that delivers oxygen at a concentration that's higher than that 21% we find in the air around us. It's specifically prescribed for people whose bodies can no longer keep their oxygen levels healthy on their own. But, and this is so important, this is not a one-size-fits-all solution. In fact, this is where the single most critical part of this entire process comes in, the doctor's prescription. Getting that dose right is a real tightrope walk. Too little oxygen and you're straining the heart and brain, which can lead to organ damage. But here's the part that surprises a lot of people. Too much oxygen can be just as dangerous. It can actually cause lung damage, and for some people, it can suppress the body's natural reflex to breathe. And that perfect dose isn't even a single number. It's always changing. Think about your day. Your oxygen need while you're just resting on the couch is your baseline. But get up and climb a flight of stairs, that demand shoots way up. Then it changes again when you're sleeping because your breathing naturally slows down. This constant change is exactly why regular check-ins with a doctor are so essential. Okay, now we need to talk about the single most critical safety rule when it comes to supplemental oxygen. And it means we have to think about fire in a totally new way. So here's a scientific fact that is absolutely crucial to understand. Oxygen itself doesn't burn. It's not flammable. But, and this is the life-saving detail you have to remember, it makes everything else burn. It's what's called an accelerant. It means that in an oxygen-rich environment, things catch fire way more easily, and they burn much, much hotter and faster. A tiny spark can become a massive fire in an instant. This is why these safety rules are completely non-negotiable. I mean, no smoking is an obvious one, right? But even something that seems harmless, like a stove or a candle, needs a wide berth. We're talking 5 to 10 feet away. The tanks have to be secured so they can't fall over and get damaged. And here's one you might not think of.
Even petroleum-based lotions, like Vaseline, are a fire risk and should never, ever be used near your equipment.
All right, so let's bring all this together. When we look at all the pieces, what's the real takeaway here? How do you breathe easier? And most importantly, live safer with oxygen? It really all comes down to 4 key pillars. First, you've got to follow your prescription precisely, treating it like the powerful medication it is. Second, you have to be constantly vigilant about fire safety. Third, make checking your equipment a regular, normal habit. And finally, stay in close contact with your healthcare team. They are your partners in all of this. So we end right where we started, with the air we breathe. Oxygen gives us life. But as we've seen, it's also a powerful medicine and, if we're not careful, a serious hazard. Which kind of leaves us with one last question to think about. Are we giving it the respect it truly deserves?